Welcome everybody. My name's Marianne Shearer, and if you're not sure what I'm about and who I am, a little bit about my background. Health has been the number one thing that's probably driven me my entire life. Going back to my childhood, I would sit and look at my mother's medical encyclopedia. We grew up on a farm, and so the hospitals were far away, and there was a medical encyclopedia full of very gory pictures of people with goiter and bulging eyes and big wounds and all kinds of awful looking things. And I was fascinated with this book. I would sit with it on my lap and I would get quite grossed out by it, like trying to look just out the corner of my eye. But the interesting thing about it is it kind of drove me to want to know more about the human body so that I wouldn't end up with those weird things. So when I was at school, science and biology and anatomy and physiology were my best subjects. It's what I loved the most. I wanted to know more and more about the body. And I read every book. As a teenager, I was reading Leonard Cordell's Mucusless Healing Diet and Marianne Cranshaw's book on high protein. And, I also come from an overweight family, so I've done things like the Atkins diet and the Scarsdale diet and all these weird and wonderful things out there, not so wonderful things. And ended up with some severe health problems. As I was more and more health conscious, the worse my health became, until my brother, who drank Coke and ate hamburgers all day long and chocolates, lived on them and said, why don't you just do what I do and then you won't be these problems? Look at you, you're sick, you've got these rashes, you've got all this problem going on, and mucus and sinusitis and all these problems. And I was so mad with him because I was making my own yogurt and my own bread and I was doing it all right. So I set out to study seriously, and I stumbled across the Institute of Life Science, started studying with them, where I met and was exposed to people like Dr. Neil Barnard, or one of the books that we were reading. I eventually got to study with him, did his courses. I'm an Education Alliance partner with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, which is based in Washington, D.C. I have studied with Dr. Colin Campbell. I've had him out here doing conferences for him, with us at least. And I have found a way of living. 1991, our first book came out. Perfect Health is the updated version of it. And there are some, I'm looking for an original copy. No, that's not one. There were two copies before this, one with bicycles and one with us in denim shirts. So if any of you have got old copies to pass on to me, those are just some of the books I've written, recipe books. There are about 7 in total, with some unpublished at this point in time. But we found a way of living based on science and studies and research, and confirmed by enormous studies like the China study, which Dr. Colin Campbell headed up with Cornell University, Oxford University, the Beijing Academy of Sciences, and confirmed that what we were doing was right, that the healthiest, longest living people are people that eat a whole food, plant-based diet. Because everything that I had been taught at school was the opposite of what I was now doing, and yet we were in an incredibly healthy place. We didn't have any more ear infections, tonsillitis, runny noses. When I say we, that's myself, my 3 daughters when they were little, and my husband Mark. His high blood pressure was gone. The weight that we'd carried around literally melted off our bodies. My bipolar disorder disappeared. Gosh, I think of all the things that were wrong with us. There were a lot. My allergic dermatitis on my hands, the skin used to peel off my hands, completely gone. And my husband's high blood pressure, that was stabilized, and his blood pressure's been completely stable since then, 1991. So that's more than 30 years. What are we now sitting at? It's 2391. Mark, work it out. It's nearly 40 years ago. In fact, the book came out in 91, but we started seeing these results in 1986. So that was the year my youngest daughter was born, and she's 37 years old this year. So it's 37 years ago. In fact, it's before that I was pregnant with her. So it's, 37, 38 years. We've not had a doctor's bill due to ill health as long as we've stayed on our program. When we go and we do other things and we think, well, we're so healthy, which has happened. People think, I'm so healthy, I can just sort of do what I used to do. And then nothing happens the first week or two, and then all those old symptoms start to come back. So over the last 37 odd years, people would see our health had changed and started asking me questions. And because I was studying, had studied and was still studying, and I continue to study, there's no point that I've got to at my life where I say, I've arrived, I've known it, I know it all. I learn in layers like most people. You learn and then you learn a little bit more, and then there's another layer and another layer, and you look back. And so over the years, I've devised programs for people based on what took us 5 years. We put into a 100 days program. Our 30-day detox was based on literally the way we eat now, because it's a very healthy way to eat, but for some people it seems to be too dramatic. So I say, well, just do it for 30 days, and then they feel so amazing that they want to go off it. So for the last, as I say, 30 odd years, close on 40 years, we haven't had a doctor's bill due to ill health, and that is an amazing place to live. It's not only that, is that our minds are crystal clear. You can wake me up at 2 in the morning and ask me a physiological or a math question, and I'll be able to answer you pretty quickly. I used to suffer from brain fog most of my life, and the topic that I'm talking on today is adrenal fatigue. And in fact, if I look back, I probably suffered from adrenal fatigue. In fact, I did, because I suffered from depression. I was tired all the time. I couldn't sleep at night. And when you look at all those symptoms of adrenal fatigue, most people have probably suffered from it themselves. Sorry, I'm just getting my computer going over here. Oh gosh, backspace, 177. Right, so looking at it, I'm just going to read some of the symptoms of what most people don't realize that they're actually suffering from it. And if I look at it, it's the typical symptoms are lack of energy. Most people today suffer from lack of energy, and it's just a common thing. I just don't have the energy to exercise. I don't have the energy to run after my kids. I don't have the energy to get off the couch, and that's a very common problem that people have. Depression, weak muscles. I remember going to the gym and doing exercises to get my calf muscles formed, because I never really had much in the way of muscle tone at all. And I would do calf raises and do, push-ups and arm things with my arms, and the muscle improvement in my muscle tone was actually shocking. It really wasn't what I wanted it to be. And now that I'm older, and my endocrine system, which is the system that controls muscles, and muscle growth, muscle development, muscle strength, is actually working so much better. So my muscle tone is way better than it was when I was 20 or even 30. And so when we look at it, the whole thing of adrenal fatigue, it's the entire endocrine system, and I'll explain a little bit more, but let's go back to these symptoms. So complete lack of energy, very weak muscles, excessive fatigue, exhaustion, chronic fatigue, non-refreshing sleep. You can sleep and sleep and sleep, and you wake up and you're completely groggy, and you think, I can't do this. I'm sleeping for 10 hours and I'm waking up exhausted. Doesn't matter how long you sleep, whether it's a short sleep or a long sleep, you never wake up feeling refreshed. Sleep disturbances, you're waking up during the night. Insomnia, feeling overwhelmed or unable to cope with life. You feel overwhelmed as a mother, a father, in your workplace. You think, how long can I go on faking? Because you feel like that. You feel like you're faking your life because you're just not coping with anything. Sensitivity to light, is sort of having to wear your dark glasses when you get outside. I think of that in most of my teenage years and into my 20s and up until my 30s. I had the sensitivity to light where if I went outdoors, I had to wear dark glasses. I now don't wear dark glasses ever. In fact, my husband gave me a pair of glasses the other day to help to wear when I'm cycling, and I don't like wearing dark glasses at all. I love the light, and so it's been an interesting thing that I've gone from this incredible sensitivity to, even when it was an overcast day, to now it can be a fully sunny day and I'll wear a hat just to keep my face out of the sun. But I find I do better without them. Okay, low stamina, not having the ability to keep going. You may have to work on something, and I watch young people today. We run a school as well where we teach children, we feed them healthy and feed them and educate them, and it's interesting, when they first start the school, they have no stamina. It's quite a joke at the school. They all tell the other kids, that they must come and arm wrestle me, because I can out arm wrestle everybody, including the senior boys when they start here. They just have no muscle strength. They have no, oh gosh, they've got no ability to keep going. We do a 20-minute walk every day at the beginning of school to get the blood flowing to their brain and get their blood sugar stabilized so that they're ready to actually learn. And the new kids, very often, they get literally 200-300, maybe at the most 500 meters from the school, and they're like, I can't go on, I'm exhausted. And it's wonderful to see where by the end of that first term, they're able to do the whole 2 to 3 kilometer route. It's an incredible thing to see, because we change their diets while they're at school, and we get the parents, they don't always do as well as they could, but we encourage them to change their children's diets as well, okay? So low stamina. Slow to recover from exercise. You exercise and you're exhausted for a long time. Recovery from exercise, when you're walking briskly, Mark and I are training to walk the Camino, and so we're having to step up our walking and our speed and getting our heart rate up a lot higher, and we're doing a lot more distance. Literally, it's within minutes. If we're walking very fast or even getting into a little jog and we're breathing deeply and we're sweating, it literally takes us minutes for our heart rate. Literally. It's actually, we've got to take our heart rate really quickly because it goes down so quickly. And then even to recover from when we're sweating, it used to take me, if I think of it as a kid growing up, I mean, I would be sweaty and hot sometimes for hours afterwards and exhausted. And now it's a couple of minutes. It's actually amazing. Sweat to sort of calm down, middle of summer, maybe 5 minutes. And it's a wonderful place to actually be. Let me get my notes up. I need to change my saving ability on my computer. All right, so we're slow to recover from exercise, slow to recover from injury or illness. And this is an amazing thing. We see pregnancy is not an illness, although very often it's treated like you've got some disease and you need to, be in hospital and have things pushed and pulled and prodded. It's natural. It's like going to the bathroom, having a child. And it should be. It's because our bodies are so out of balance that it becomes almost like a disease. But let's just take something like that, because it's quite traumatic to the body. Most women will take 6 weeks to stop bleeding after they've had a baby, and for the body to repair and for the uterus to shrink back into its normal size. But we see that people that follow a healthy, whole food, plant-based diet that I'm going to tell you about this morning and how it can help you all today, is that we see women literally between 3 and 6 days fully recovered, uterus shrunk, bleeding stopped, up and about, doing everything. In fact, those moms are up and about on the actual day of birth. They get up, they walk around, and they're having their babies at home, and they are strong, and everything's working properly. That's what happens when your endocrine system is in working condition. And when your endocrine system is in working condition, your adrenal glands, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more now, can actually function efficiently. It's all part of this big endocrine system, okay? So other symptoms of adrenal fatigue are where were we? Brain fog, difficulty in concentrating. Hold on. Slow recovery from injury or illness. So a wound will take ages to repair. You find when you are healthy and you've cut yourself, the next day it looks almost as if it's gone. It's actually quite amazing. So difficulty in concentrating, brain fog, dizziness, poor digestion, irritable bowel syndrome or IBS, low immune function, premenstrual symptoms, menopausal symptoms, low blood pressure, sensitivity to cold. Your hands and feet are cold all the time. I grew up the first 30 years of my life, cold hands and feet my entire life. I used to feel like my fingers were going to fall off in winter, and I live in South Africa, which is not a very cold country in winter. It seldom goes below 6 degrees where we live, and in some parts, unless you're on a mountain somewhere where it snows, it'll go below 0, but even then it's just mildly below 0, maybe -6 maximum. It's not like this is Canada, where it goes below 45 degrees centigrade, okay? So I don't have that anymore. I never have cold hands and feet. They're just normal all the time, unless it's really cold outside and I don't have gloves on. Or it might be cold, but the minute I start exercising, my hands warm up. It never used to be like that. Fearfulness. There's an incredible feeling of something bad is going to happen, and you're fearful, you're anxious, anxiety, very much part of it as well. And then people going and taking anti-anxiety medication, but in fact what's happening is the adrenal glands are not working properly. Frequent influenza. You get colds and flu all the time. arthritis, irritability, reduced memory, low libido, sexual drive, low sex drive, low interest in the sexual activity, lack of a desire or a lust or an energy for life, and lack of interest in food. You're just not interested in anything. You're just existing. It's very typical of adrenal fatigue. Excessive hunger in some people, so you can have no interest and you can have excessive hunger. You're never feeling satisfied. And then you can have very low appetite. Panic and anxiety attacks. Impatience. Quick to anger is another one of them. Now, many of these symptoms have other causes, of course, okay? But those are common in this group. You may have one, you may have many of them, okay? So let's talk about, just because you have one or two of them might be just a little bit of stress you're going through. It's when this is chronic and ongoing for a long period of time and it's not going away. I mean, you can have a day where you feel, oh, I'm exhausted, I've had a hectic week, I need to just rest for a day. You can have that. Sorry, just pausing. My assistant Mark is doing something, so I'm looking at him and got distracted. All right, so you can have any of these symptoms for, a day or a couple of days maximum. But if you're not recovered within 2 days after just spending a little bit of a quieter time and just kind of resting a bit and sleeping in a bit, then you probably could be suffering from adrenal fatigue. Okay, so let's look at what the adrenal glands actually do, right? The adrenal glands are amazing little organs. They are the size of an almond, and I went outside to our almond trees and I actually picked this. This is an almond in its little skin here. When it starts off, it looks a bit, it's green and it looks like a peach. It looks like a peach that is growing, but then the little green thing starts to dry over and it busts open, and then you get this almond that's inside here. But in fact, I'll do this one. At least I've got two types. This one's difficult to crack and needs a nut cracker. This one's easy to crack. Then inside there you get the almond nut. Okay, so there you have an almond nut over there. So why I hold this out is because it's interesting. It's the size of an almond. There are 2 adrenal glands. They're little. You can see this is like half the size of my thumb. And it sits on top of your kidneys. You've got one on each of your kidneys, and they weigh somewhere between 3.5 and 5 grams. That's very little. That's less than this almond weighs. I'm thinking this almond could be 5 to 7 grams. They're about 3.5 to 5 grams. They weigh about 10 grams, 7.5 to 10 grams together. They're tiny little things, but they do so much. And they're divided into 2 sections in these little things. You've got the cortex and you've got the medulla or the medulla. So there's that, and then the cortex is involved in 3 separate sections, and each of those sections do different things, but basically together what they do is they actually produce hormones. They produce I think it's the cortex produces the cortisol, the anti-inflammatory type of hormones that they produce, and they also, that's the medulla that produces that. It's the cortex. It doesn't matter. The adrenal glands produce natural anti-inflammatories known as cortisol or cortisone. It's made naturally by your body. But when your adrenal glands are not working properly, then you don't produce enough natural anti-inflammatories, and you could have aches and pains all over your body, which could be a sign that your adrenal glands are exhausted. You may not be feeling exhausted, but you get up and you feel like an old person. I meet people daily. Daily I meet people, and I think, if this thing happens as you get older, you think, I wonder how old they are. There's just, even as an adult, you kind of meet people, you think, oh, they're that age. And I meet people that are in their 40s, and they look like they're older than me, and I'm 65. I'm a great-grandmother already. And it's just like you can actually just see the endocrine system with those adrenal glands are not working the way that they should. And I can't go saying to people like, excuse me, would you like to actually feel better and look younger? Until people actually, it's one thing I've learned, until people actually approach me and say, can you tell me what to do? I have to keep my mouth shut. So it's a good thing for you as well. If you really are healthy, keep your mouth shut until people ask for help. Getting back to the adrenal glands. They make natural anti-inflammatories. They make 2 hormones used to be called adrenaline and noradrenaline, and now they're called epinephrine and norepinephrine. I don't know why they do this, changing the names of things. I think it's because we start to just figure out how our bodies work, And then the system says, let's change the name so that they feel dumb again, because there's so many names on body parts and we get overwhelmed and then they just go and change it, you know. So it's the same thing. We produce adrenaline or epinephrine when it's called the flight or fight hormones. Epinephrine and norepinephrine, it's what helps you if you're in a stressful situation and you need strength for something. That's when, if you need to run away from a situation that's really bad, you'll run faster than you've ever run in your life, and your lungs will open up and you will be able to climb up that tree or whatever it is. I've heard of people who've been in a car accident and somebody's leg or arm was crushed underneath the tire and they literally have been able to lift a car. Now, I don't know what size the car was, but that's the supernatural strength that can pump into your muscles when you're producing adrenaline like that. The problem, your adrenal glands can get very exhausted and very run down from chronic stress in your body because you're pumping adrenaline all the time, and that's what causes, it's part of what causes a problem, and I'll get onto that now. Now let's just keep looking at the what the adrenal glands actually do. Right, as I say, they're divided into these different sections, and they produce they produce these natural hormones. The interesting things about the adrenal glands is these tiny little glands that sit on top of your kidneys. They also produce the sex hormones or the reproductive hormones, and that's testosterone, progesterone, and estrogen. And the interesting thing is that so often when a woman goes through menopause, when the body stops menstruating and you're not able to have a child anymore, you're told to go into hormone replacement therapy. Again, this is sort of a normal transition of life for your hormones to change and for you to stop producing children at a certain age, and that depends on your genetic makeup. Some people it happens when they're 45, some people it happens when they're 55. I've even heard of people at 60. Wherever it happens, it's a normal transition of life. You're not suffering from an illness or disease, but because your endocrine system, including these adrenal glands, are not doing their job properly because they're tired, they're exhausted because of the things we've been doing to our bodies. I'll tell you what those are now. What we do is we start treating us with external hormones. And now we know that taking hormone replacement therapy from the Million Woman study showed that you've got a 50% greater chance of developing breast cancer if you're taking hormone replacement therapy. You don't need hormone replacement therapy. You just need to exercise and live in a way where your adrenal glands work properly, and they will take over producing progesterone and estrogen from the ovaries. So even if your ovaries have been removed, your adrenal glands, when they're treated with kindness and respect, they start to work properly and they produce testosterone. You get men today that are suffering from low testosterone levels, and it's big business. Go and get your testosterone shots. But then when they first get it, they're like aggressive and they feeling like they can take on the world, and then it kind of wears off and then they go back for another shot. But if we just eat properly and live properly, the adrenal glands will work properly, so you won't need these testosterone shots. You won't need to take hormone replacement therapy of any kind. So, right. Let's take a look at what actually causes the adrenal fatigue. And I'll probably, what I've seen is there's two main areas, two main things that we are not managing properly. One is our diet and the other one's our lifestyle. When I say diet, it's what we eat. So over the years, I've dealt with so many people suffering from adrenal exhaustion. It's been an interesting journey for me to go on, and they come from different backgrounds. One was a young 25-year-old tennis champion who'd also become a tennis coach. So he was very competitive and he was teaching. He was living quite a stressful life, having to win, focused on winning. And adrenal exhaustion is very common in competitive people, especially as they get older, but even as they're younger, because they very often are putting things into their bodies that just hammer the adrenal glands, which is exactly what he was doing. His diet wasn't shocking. He wasn't like he was living on junk food, but what he was doing is he was putting something in his body that was just whipping his adrenal glands. And I always think of it like whipping a donkey. You can sit on the donkey and you can whip the donkey and whip the donkey. And anybody who's ever seen this happen, you whip the donkey. Is when you stop whipping the donkey that the donkey collapses. And in a sense, that's what happens is we're putting things into our bodies that are just literally overstimulating our adrenal glands to keep us going, just to kind of keep us focused. And when we stop, we kind of collapse and we get even worse. But the most common thing that he was doing, and another one was an older woman who was doing a very similar thing. Her diet wasn't shocking, but she heard that caffeine caused adrenal exhaustion. So she just decided to stop. This young guy was drinking a lot of colas. This woman was drinking a lot of diet colas, and they contain an artificial sweetener that really upsets the endocrine system, including the adrenal glands. So caffeine is right at the top of that list of what we eat and we shouldn't be putting in, because it really, really hammers your adrenal glands. And we're seeing more and more people today suffering from adrenal exhaustion. And if you look at it, there's coffee shops on every corner. They're in the churches, for goodness sake. Some schools have their own coffee shops. When I was growing up as a kid, we weren't allowed to consume any caffeine of any kind. We weren't allowed to have coffee or tea, and chocolates were an occasional treat. But these are the things that contain caffeine. Caffeine is coffee. Decaf contains about 2%, so it's a lot less. And it's a great way to come off caffeine is to mix decaffeinated and caffeinated coffee together. Mix the beans together or mix the powders together and slowly wean yourself off. Because if you just stop caffeine like that overnight, you are shattered, exhausted, and you think, I feel worse than I've ever looked, because you've been whipping your adrenal glands and making them produce more adrenaline, and they're getting more and more tougher, and you just stop, and the adrenal glands are like, let's just go to sleep here. And now you have no adrenal hormones, or very few. There's very few. Your body's just producing enough to keep you alive, not enough to actually keep going. So it's always a good thing to start to wean yourself off caffeine. So this young guy was having, I think he was having 5 or 6 colas a day. This woman was drinking 7 diet colas a day, and she was having another 7 cups of coffee. Oh, and this young guy was also having coffee. And you can't just stop. And an interesting thing, what happens to people when they don't take notice and pay attention to the signs as they go along. I'm tired all the time. I'm not feeling like it's worth living. They're not looking at those signals that we looked at. And then they crash. This young guy, there's another guy as well that I dealt with who was in Las Vegas in United States. Both of these people, young men, were very top sports people. They were taking lots of caffeinated drinks. They were on the go. It was like stress. They were having to maintain it. One young guy was so good at basketball that he'd been given a basketball scholarship, and at 17 he crashed. This 25-year-old crashed at 25. They were in hospital. Nobody knew what was wrong with them. They looked every conceivable thing that could possibly, autoimmune diseases, couldn't find anything wrong. And somebody had heard about the young tennis player that I had helped. It was one of our students, actually, who lived in Las Vegas, and she told the mother, look, I know this woman's helped this person. And this woman phoned me in the middle of the night from Las Vegas to say, what can I do? And basically, what I'm going to tell you to do, they did. And they completely and fully recovered. And they went back to playing their sport and basketball and tennis and everything else, but they learned how to manage their life. And really, exhausted adrenals is about managing your life. So caffeine has to go, but it's better if it goes slowly. Okay, if you just stop it like this, not only are the withdrawal symptoms really hard, it's headaches, nausea, insomnia, and irritability, but if you're suffering from adrenal exhaustion, it initially gets worse. So if you're taking 6 cups of coffee a day, I would reduce that to about 3 a day. Or the other thing you can do is, if you're used to drinking it at certain times, mix it 50-50 with normal decaf and normal coffee mixed together. But what you can do is, if you're nervous and you're feeling you're getting headaches and you're getting the nausea and you're not coping and you're still too tired, at least go 75% normal coffee, 25% caffeine. Do that for a week or 2. Then reduce it to 50%, 50-50 each. And then it's 75 decaf and 25% normal coffee. And when you've done that for probably 2 or 3 months, you'll find you'll be able to come off it completely. Some people just want to get out of it and they just stop. And as I say, they don't feel great. They really don't feel great. They crash and they're really feeling even worse. There are things that you can do, and there's things you need to eat and stuff you need to take that'll help you, and I'll get to that now. Okay, so caffeine is a huge factor there. Now, caffeine's not only in coffee, it's in chocolates, whether that's raw organic chocolates, raw organic cacao, it doesn't matter. It's in green tea, it's in normal tea. Caffeine is something that was taken by warriors in South America, where it originates from. They would take the coffee beans and they would chew them, because it would give them the surge of adrenaline and make them aggressive. And that's what caffeine does to us can make us very aggressive. We can get very argumentative. We can be fighting with the people around us, fighting with work, with the people in our homes. We can become very aggressive. We think, what is wrong with me? Or in fact, we might begin to think, what's wrong with everybody else? Because it's certainly not wrong with me. And you're just very, very irritated and adrenal driven. And that's what caffeine was needed for. They would chew these berries, go into war. It would keep them awake all night long and make them aggressive. So we're putting stuff into our bodies that's making us ready for war. We are like alert and ready for war all the time. Well, you can't be that. If you're going to war, then, have the caffeine for while you're at war and then stop and get out of it. But, we don't want to be at war with anybody. You don't want to be ready and aggressive to go into battle with the people around you. So it's one of the things people will see is that and that's also what adds to the depression, is that they're fighting with everybody all the time. This doesn't happen with everybody. Some people just feel flat. Okay, so come off the caffeine slowly. You can have herbal teas like chamomile tea. One of my favorite teas is called Aloe Blossom from a company called Forever Living. We'll pop the names of where you can get the products into the text at the bottom. And if for any reason you need to contact us and you missed something, you can play this again and you can have a look at it, but you can always email us and I'll give you the email address at the end. All right, so caffeine is number one at the top of the list, okay? Next to that, you put sugar, refined and processed sugar. Now, we need glucose. You've got to have glucose for your brain, your central nervous system, for your endocrine system, including your adrenal glands to work properly. They need to work properly and they need glucose for every cell in the body. But you need natural glucose, which is found in fresh fruit. Eat the fruit, okay? Don't go taking fake fruits or drinking, fake flavored fruits, juices and stuff like that. An actual fruit like a mango and an apple. Eat the fruit whole, munch them, enjoy them, okay? So you need a lot of fresh fruit. Refined sugar needs to go. Don't replace it with artificial sweeteners. The most common artificial sweetener used today contains something called aspartame, and that's in things like Candle, NutraSweet. It's in your diet colas and stuff like that. It's a very common sweetener, but it causes neuroendocrine disorders, which is disorders of the central nervous system and the endocrine system, which your adrenal glands are very closely connected to your central nervous system and brain, and that's why you get things like brain fog and you can't concentrate and you're depressed. The adrenal glands really need to function very fully, and they don't need any artificial sweeteners containing aspartame. I would remove all artificial sweeteners unless they're 100% natural. Then it's not artificial, okay? And that would be things like raw honey, organic, natural, 100% pure maple syrup, grape juice, apple juice. I'm trying to think about the natural sweeteners. I sweeten dishes. If I have to sweeten something, I'll actually finely grate or blend apples. I make a tomato soup and I blend apples in there, or I'll put in, if I want it thicker, I'll put sweet potatoes in to sweeten things instead of using added sugar. But if I really need to bake something and make it taste like a proper cake, then I'll use fructose in a powdered form because it doesn't upset your blood sugar. And the reason refined sugar upsets the endocrine system, the adrenal glands, is because it makes your blood sugar shoot up really high and then drops it really low. And the minute your blood sugar is doing this, you're going to hammer your entire endocrine system, your central nervous system, and that includes obviously your adrenal glands. So very, very important that you are making sure that you don't have any processed refined sugar in your diet. Replace it with natural fruit sugar, raw honey, as I say. And if you need to bake fructose powder, it doesn't upset your blood sugar, but it is refined, so use it in moderation. All right, now alcohol. I said caffeine, I said sugar, I would put alcohol up here. Alcohol, very often when people are suffering from adrenal exhaustion, they'll think, oh, well, I just need a drink to relax because I'm so stressed. It's the worst thing you can do to your adrenal glands. It really is. And people are very often just having a glass of wine. They think it's just a glass of wine, but it hammers your adrenal glands. It hammers your entire central nervous system and endocrine system. In fact, research has now been published and people are taking it so seriously. For example, countries are taking it, like Canada is now putting out studies and reports and saying, we don't advise you consume any alcohol at all, ever. And never more than between 1 and 3 drinks a week. But even that should be avoided because there's nothing beneficial about alcohol. It hammers your adrenal glands. And when I look at the people that have suffered from this, they're having their glass of wine, they're having their cup of coffee, they're having their bit of chocolate, and you think, oh, but surely a little bit's not going to do that to me. It's like playing Russian roulette. You've got one bullet in the cartridge and you're spinning it and pulling the trigger and nothing happens, and you spin it and nothing happens, and you're spinning it, and that could go on for 45 years of your life, and then one day your adrenal glands just crash. Okay, so smoking cigarettes, again, it gives a surge. You're putting it, not one toxic substance, there's 200 toxic substances in cigarettes. You're putting it into your lungs, it's getting into your bloodstream. Your body goes into a total state of panic. You're poisoning us, produces adrenaline. So now you're having your cigarette, and you're having your coffee, or you're having your cigarette, and you're having your drink, and your adrenal glands are just being hammered. Do you just stop? It's a very difficult thing, because if you just stop everything, some people say it's a lot easier to just stop, but then you can collapse in a heap and feel awful. So it's up to you. I mean, you'll still recover if you do these things, but if you want to do it slowly, then start to reduce it slower. Some people say it's not possible for them. They can't go from 6 cups of coffee to 4 cups of coffee to 3 cups of coffee. They can't do that. They can't mix it. Mixing it with decaf will help. Mixing your alcohol, for example, if you're normally having a glass of wine and it's 125 mils, then have 75 mils and 75 mils of sparkling water and have a wine spritzer, for example, and just start reducing it and have a goal. You need to have stopped all of these things within a 6 to 12 week period. If you can stop them, then your body can start to really heal within that 6 to 12 week period. It does take time to get your adrenal glands to recover because, as I say, they're not just standalone little glands. They're part of this entire endocrine system, which is your pituitary gland and your hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is locked into the pituitary gland. Hypothalamus feeds into the central nervous system. The pituitary gland is the managing director or CEO of the entire endocrine system. So whatever happens in the central nervous system is going to affect the endocrine system, and that includes the adrenal glands, and I'll come back to more of that as well. Recreational drugs, marijuana, cocaine, especially something like cocaine, anything that gives you a surge is going to affect your adrenal glands, okay? But any recreational drugs, so if you've been using them, it's ideal to get off. There's nothing beneficial from it. Why would you waste your money? I don't get smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol. I come from a family where all the people in our family, on my mother and my father both, I'm just having some peak endurance. If you're looking for something natural to drink, instead of those energy drinks, this is great. I've never understood growing up in a family where everybody smoked and drank. It was a real colonial time, sitting on the porch with your sundowners and your cigarettes. Couldn't understand why somebody would pay money and then burn it. And then you're actually not smoking, you're sucking. So you're actually a sucker, not a smoker. And then you're drinking this alcohol, which makes you feel weird, and then you usually behave quite badly. You can be a bit irritable or do some stupid things. And then you just go and pee it out. So you're either burning your money or peeing it into the bathroom. I don't get it. And those same people will tell me they don't have enough money to get healthy, that it's too expensive to get healthy. I'm sorry, it's too expensive to be sick. It really, the average person around the world in a westernized country is spending at least $500 per month on over-the-counter medication, supplementation, things to make them feel good and take them up and take them down. Never mind the alcohol and the cigarettes. People can spend $500 a month easily, if not more, just on cigarettes and alcohol and chocolates. Seriously. And then they say they can't afford to get well. It's not going to cost you $500 a month. It's going to cost you less. You end up spending less money. You end up saving at least $500 a month just on the rubbish you've been putting into your body. And I'm not saying this out of judgment. I have compassion for people that have addictions. I really do. I've seen how difficult it is for people to give up their things. And that's why I recommend you focus on getting healthy, not on giving up these substances, saying, I want to get healthy. I'm going to give you the good things to start adding. That'll help take away your desire. Because when you add more good things to your existing diet, your blood chemistry changes and you stop craving alcohol. You stop craving cigarettes. And I've seen this with alcoholics. When they focus on getting healthy, they lose their desire to drink. One guy had lost his entire family. He'd lost his business. He'd lost everything. And he started focusing on getting healthy. That's all he did, was just do kind of menial work and focus on getting healthy and eating naturally. And within 3 months, he had his family back. He was back in business. He was getting his life together by eating healthy, your blood chemistry changes. So that's the subtle way to do it, okay? All right, what else? Pharmaceutical drugs, okay? You could be taking pharmaceutical drugs. There isn't one pharmaceutical drug that doesn't have a side effect. If you don't believe me, take the insert out and read it. And if you don't have an insert in your pack, it's actually illegal. They should give you the insert. But if you don't have it, just go online and type in the name of your medication you're on and say side effects. And then have a look at all the side effects. All of those side effects, I've never seen a side effect on medication that doesn't affect the endocrine system. Never seen it. I've seen it every single time. So any pharmaceutical drugs are going to affect your endocrine system. I'm not telling you to just stop your medication, but what I want to encourage you to do is walk this path of getting your body to a place where it can repair itself. Because when it repairs itself, it's for life. When you're taking medication, you are managing your disease or your condition or your symptoms. You're not getting rid of them. Anybody who's got the one woman I mentioned, she's in her late 40s, early 50s, and she had been using artificial sweetness since the age of 13, and her biggest problem was that she was overweight. She's got this, in her mind, the weight was, but it wasn't the worst because she now had this adrenal exhaustion. She'd been on artificial sweetness from 13 to 47 when I first started working with her. And it was the most incredible thing to see, because I've seen this so often. You're taking these artificial sweeteners, but your weight problem just gets worse and worse and worse. It actually makes sense, because aspartame sweetener, which is in all those diet drinks that she was drinking the diet colas, actually slows down your metabolism because it interferes with your endocrine function, and your endocrine system controls your body metabolism, okay? So back to the adrenal glands. Any pharmaceutical drugs could be the cause or contribute to adrenal fatigue. So what you need to be doing is you need to be looking at the side effects. You need to go back to your doctor and say, can you help me come off this medication over a period of time? If your doctor's not prepared to help you and he says you're smoking something and you've lost your mind, find a doctor that will work with you. Because a good doctor wants you to be off all your medication. Doesn't want you to be on medication, wants you to be off the medication. So a good doctor will work with you. He'll take your blood pressure. He'll check this. He'll check that. He'll do all kinds of things, and he'll make sure that you're fine. Some people have chosen to just wean themselves off their medication. They take it, they reduce it. If they're taking 100 milligrams, they start taking 75 milligrams, and they do that for a month, and then they go to 50 milligrams, and then they go for a month, and then 25 milligrams, and they decide to do that. But that is your choice. I can't tell you to go off medication. But it's something you need to look at, because it's very difficult to recover from anything fully while you're taking chemical substances that are interfering with other parts of the body. So you don't want to just manage your symptoms or manage your discomfort for the rest of your life. You want your body to repair itself. And the steps I'm going to give you is going to get your body to a place where it can repair itself. And then the medication will just go as you start to get better. All right. Lack of natural light. This is a big problem today. People just stay out of the sun. They just don't go outside. They're indoor on devices. They are wearing dark glasses, which blocks the UV rays, and the UV rays need to trigger a little gland in your brain called the pineal gland. Some people call it the pineal gland. And it's probably is pineal, looking at the spelling. It's P-I-N, one N, E-A-L. When you look at the UV rays, they are blocked. When you put glasses over your eyes, you block UV rays, and they should enter your eyes. You don't have to look directly at the sun. That's not what you're doing. You're not like looking at the sun. You're just outdoors. You can wear a hat. It's another reason I don't wear dark glasses anymore, is I want the sun in my eyes, because I know I sleep better. I know I handle stress better. I know my endocrine system works better, and that means my adrenal glands. And I'm a typical adrenal person. So I know that I suffered from adrenal fatigue. It just didn't have a name. I didn't know it had a name at the time. Adrenal people like everything done yesterday. They want everything done in order. They want everybody to raise their level and like do it right, and got a great sense of justice and rightness. And I've calmed down over the years, but I still like order, and I still like things done properly, and I still want it all done yesterday, and everybody else should have done it yesterday too. So we operate on our adrenal glands, people like that. And so I've learned to manage them, and that's through diet and exercise. So I'm getting there now. So lack of natural light. It doesn't have to be sunlight. You need light, and you need at least 20 minutes a day Twice a day is better than 20 minutes, or 20 minutes is better than no time. And if it's freezing cold because you live in Canada, for example, try and get outside in your wooliest down jacket, wrap it around you, and if you just let your eyes stick out like this, it's all you need to do. You can be completely covered. You need your eyes to get that natural light. If it's impossible and there's a blizzard and it's been going on for months on end, then make sure you put natural full spectrum lighting globes in your house. Plug them in all over the place so that in your home you're giving off the full spectrum lighting. It's not as good as natural sunlight, but it's better than nothing, okay? Sunlight regulates that pineal gland, and that pineal gland produces melatonin and serotonin. Melatonin needs to be low during the day. That's what natural light does, reduces it so that you're not tired, and then at night it raises it. That's what it should be, because you should be tired at night. What happens with people with adrenal fatigue, very often they're not going outside. Their pineal glands are out of balance. They're producing lots of melatonin during the day. They're just tired and they're staggering around. They're like, oh, I need to sleep. And they might even be sleeping during the day. And then at night, instead of the melatonin being high, it's now too low and you can't sleep and you've got insomnia. So you're exhausted all day and you can't sleep at night. So natural light will help to regulate that pineal gland. The exercises you can do outside, Mark and I walk, you can hike, you can cycle, you can swim, you can do anything outside. But if you really don't want to exercise outside and you love going to a noisy, sweaty, smelly gym, I gave that up years ago because I wasn't getting my natural light, and I don't like to smell everybody's body odor, and I don't like the loud music. I love being outdoors in nature. That's my favorite place to be, whether I'm walking up the mountains behind us or on the beach or just round the back of our property down a dirt road. I want to be outside, and sometimes we just mow our lawns to get outside, Mark and I. And I say lawns, he's got his section of lawns, I've got my section of lawns. He has the big heavy lawnmower, I have the electric lawnmower. It has batteries, not a cable. Anyway, so you need to be exercising slowly. You don't go out and start doing competitive gym when you have, or competitive sport. Don't enter races, don't compete with anybody, don't look at how many kilometers you walk in a minute, don't time anything other than to say, I'm going to be outside, moving gently, even if it's just a slow shuffle, like an old age shuffle, just shuffling forward. Just that little shuffle is just fine. You need to be outdoors. If you're really struggling and you're really suffering from such severe adrenal fatigue, you can't even put one foot in front of the other, try and eat your meals outdoors. If you don't have an outdoor area, open your windows in your dining area or your sitting area so that the natural UV rays can come into your home and actually reflect off the walls, unless they're painted dark colors, reflect off the light areas. Don't have lenses over your eyes. So if you're wearing contact lenses or prescription lenses, you're wearing reading glasses, anything that you're wearing, take the contact lenses off, put your glasses down on the end of your nose like this. So I use these for reading. And when they're down like that, the UV rays can get to the pupils of your eyes like that. Covering your eyes, they can't bend around corners and they can't reflect back off the glass. So you're not helping yourself covering your eyes with sunglasses. Wear a cap, wear a peak, wear a hat. In fact, you can get a wonderful range of hats in your cupboard, and they can be a fashion statement instead of those very expensive shades, which we all end up losing, and they drop off in strange places, okay? Right, so those are the main things from your diet and exercise point of view. Processed and heated fats block your body's ability to use essential fatty acids. You've got to have omega-3s in your diet. But before I go there, I want to go to actual stress. A very common cause of really severe chronic fatigue syndrome is stress in our lives. Now, you can't live without stress. There's going to be the stress of a hot day, there'll be stress of a cold day, there'll be stress of sitting in the traffic. But when you're in chronic long-term stress, in other words, you're in a really bad relationship and you're living in fear of your life, or that you're just on edge all the time because you're in this bad relationship. That bad relationship could be with somebody at work, with somebody in your home. That chronic long-term stress makes you produce too much adrenaline all the time. You're under stress producing it. And if you're not doing something to deal with it, and it's long-term, you may find after 3 months, 3 years, after 30 years, sorry, I've got a hair in my eye here. After whatever period of time, depending on how long your adrenal glands are, it's going to take you time to recover. But what happens It's long-term chronic stress like that. You can have a really healthy diet. I know of a person who really eats very well. She exercises daily. She gets her natural sunlight. In the work environment, she's been exposed to people who have bullied her verbally in situations, and now and she just started feeling like nauseous, not sleeping well, dizzy, just not feeling, and kept thinking it was low iron levels, and kept having her iron levels tested, but she was in the range. And they kept telling her, you're a vegetarian, that's why you've got low iron levels. But she's right in the range. She's perfectly in the range. There's a range that you can be in. You can be in the bottom end, the top end, or the middle end. If you're in the range, you're in the range. It's not the issue. But she just, this chronic fatigue, this tiredness. She stopped exercising because she wasn't feeling well. And she eventually got to a point where she was doing everything to avoid these people, and not making contact with them, eye contact, not talking to them. And trying to avoid these people was creating so much stress. She was expecting any time that one or two of these people could just walk into her life or into her workspace and just start being verbally abusive. And she's a natural empath, so she just kept quiet, and she's a lovely, godly woman. So she thinks, I have to take the, if a man takes your jacket, well, then give him you takes your shirt, give him your jacket too. And if you get hit in the face, turn the other cheek. And this was her approach. But what it was doing is causing long-term chronic stress. Every day it was always there. Even though she didn't see the people, they could appear and they could just say something. And I was just recently talking to her, because she had all these tests and nothing was working, and she was eating really well, and her friends were saying, you got to eat meat. Well, the reason meat might make you feel better initially is it contains adrenaline, because when animals get killed, they pump adrenaline. They smell the blood of the other animals. Now you eat the meat and you get the surge of adrenaline, but it's coming from an animal source. So it can contribute. It's one of the things that can contribute to adrenal exhaustion over a period of time, is this animal adrenaline coming in and giving you a surge of adrenaline. So eating animal products may not be beneficial to you from that point of view. You may find you can eat organic eggs and it's not a problem, or you can eat some organic, what's not killing an animal? Maybe some fish, maybe organic fish, if there is such a thing. The seas are so polluted and so are our rivers that there's not much organic left there anymore. Anyway, so that's the kind of thing that can happen in this long-term chronic stress. It doesn't have to be that you're in an abusive relationship. You could be in an abusive relationship with yourself in a sense as well, where you're actually just abusing your own body all the time, and you've got to assess that, where you're putting the wrong things into your body. But handling the stress is something that takes time, because it involves things like putting boundaries in place. Now, the best book to read on boundaries is called Boundaries by Henry Cloud and John Townsend. And they're two psychologists who've written a book on how to draw a line in the sand so that people don't take advantage of you. Because although people may not be being openly abusive to you, they could just be taking advantage of you, and you're always just feeling like you're being used, but you're feeling bad about the fact that you're feeling used, because you're supposed to have the servant heart towards people, and in fact you just end up getting trampled on. And so it's really important that we make a point of working through that. So start with reading the book Boundaries, and they tell you when you put boundaries in place, people that are really bullying you that you didn't realize it. Boundaries are saying, I don't appreciate the way you're speaking to me. I think that you're being unkind, and I'd prefer to discontinue this conversation until such time as that you can speak to me with respect. That's it. People that are boundaryless and don't want to hear that will probably never talk to you again. I had that with a family member, just didn't bother talking to me for 25 years. And then she died. So I was very sad about it. But I had taken the abuse, verbal abuse, for so long that it had become to just be normal in my life. And it was somebody that I'd grown up with, so it was a difficult situation. Whatever it is, I found that reading Boundaries helped me, exercising daily helped me, walking barefoot and discharging positive ions. We walk around, we pick up all these positive ions from synthetic carpets and synthetic curtains, synthetic clothing. When you get static electricity, your body has got too much charge, you've got to discharge it. You may not even get static electricity, you just need to discharge it. Walk around barefoot. Go outside, walk on the lawn, walk on the ground, go to the beach, go to a park and take your shoes off and walk with them in your hand. But try and do that for 15, 20 minutes a day. A girl in Canada couldn't get outside because it was snowing so badly. I said, can you go and get some dirt, some soil outside somewhere, even if it's from a nursery? Go and get some soil from somewhere. If you can, find a little patch of grass, and you can grow your grass indoors, put it in a sunny patch and put it in a big flat sort of meter by a meter patch, and then you can just sit eating your meals with or stand in your little patch of grass every day, discharge it. You can go and touch a tree. That's where hugging trees came from. You can literally go and hug a tree and get rid of your positive ions. Discharging it from your feet is more effective, but hugging trees can work. It's just a bit prickly on some of them, and walking on the grass is a pleasant experience. That takes away that very irritable feeling that you have, where you're feeling unsettled. It's a horrible feeling of feeling unsettled. Taking your shoes off and walking barefoot, 15, 20 minutes a day minimum. When Mark and I mow the lawn, we take our shoes off, we mow the lawn, and our feet get really green. And it takes quite a while to clean that greenness off. Pumice stone really helps. But it really, really works. It's not a nutter thing. It's not a crazy thing. It's scientifically proven when positive ions build up, and they build up more in the cities than they do in the rural areas. They build up. We're living in areas where there is no grass. There is no dirt. Everything's covered. So you need to go and find a little patch of something to walk. And the park is a good place to go. So it's, as I say, that's scientifically proven. What else do you need to do? You need to either pray or meditate. You need to acknowledge that there's some kind of higher power. Acknowledging that there's a higher power really helps you to let go of all the stuff you're carrying around. And scientific studies have shown that people that believe in a higher power, whatever their religion, they've looked at people, the longest living communities in the blue zones, for example, they all eat a whole food plant-based diet. They all live with a certain purpose. They have a reason to wake up in the morning, whether it's looking after your great-great-grandchild or, having a mission and a purpose in another area. It's living on purpose, not just existing. But what they did find is they all believed in a higher power. The Japanese believe in a higher power. The people that's in Okinawa, the people that live in Loma Linda in Southern California believe in a higher power. People that are living in Costa Rica believe in a higher power. The people living in Icarus in Greece believe in a higher power. The people that are living in Sardinia in Italy, these are the blue zones where they have the longest living, healthiest people. What these people do is they don't do any formal exercise. In other words, there is no competitive sport whatsoever. It stresses us out. Why are we doing it? It stresses us out and teaches us to go afterwards and have drinks in the pub. That's what we do. Get stressed out of our minds and we've got to go and drink alcohol to relax, and then we just start hammering our adrenal glands. They do exercise, but none of it's competitive and it's all informal. It's gardening, it's walking, it's cycling, it's digging holes in the garden, it's hiking up a mountain. Some of them have a set day to when we go hiking in the mountains. Others are just physically active all day long, cleaning their own homes, cleaning up their own space. In fact, what we do know is people that clean up their own space are less likely to suffer from mental illness. Cleaning up your own space gives you more chance of not suffering from mental illness. I think it's a very important thing that we do. Get up, make your bed. It's the first thing. Get up in the morning, make your bed. Even though you're suffering from a chronic fatigue or adrenal exhaustion, you get up, you make your bed. You just make it slowly. You feel like you've achieved something. I have achieved making this bed, and you will feel better about yourself. Believe me. Too many people don't make their beds these days. They just leave it, climb back into it. Well, I started making my bed because I found out that if you shook it all out and covered it all up, there's less chance of spiders getting into your bed or any other little bugs and things. And that was as a kid. I didn't want spiders in my bed. They could bite you in the middle of the night. Cheers. All right, so what else do we need to do? When it comes to spiritual well-being, believing in a higher power doesn't mean you have to be a particular religion. I always think of it as, I can't believe that I came here by mistake. If it takes designers and mechanics and engineers to design something like a Ferrari sports car, which can't even reproduce itself or repair itself like my body can, it must have taken an amazing designer to make my body. What that does is believing in a higher power helps you to kind of roll your cares onto the higher power. This is too big for me to cope with. I can't cope with this. I'm giving my burdens to you because you are bigger and more capable and more able than me. I know Karl Marx says religion is the opiate of the people. I don't think there's anything drug-like about it at all, unless you're in a cult, which there's no need to be. It's just to have something bigger than you that you can believe in. So the scientists don't look at whether it's true or not. They're just saying that people live longer and are healthier when they believe in a higher power. Other things that you can do is some people find the best type of exercise for them is something like stretch and tone or yoga classes. So they'll go and do some relaxing form of exercise. Stretching and toning is very important anyway. So even if you're going for a hike or a walk, come back and do some stretching and deep breathing. Breathing correctly is really important. And there's lots you can find online about how to breathe correctly. But we breathe too shallow. It's part of the problem with adrenal fatigue is you're breathing in the top part of our lungs, not right to the bottom. So we need to learn to breathe in and even hold. You're not going to do this all day long counting, but doing deep breathing exercises is going to help you. It actually calms you down. So when you're going into that panic mode state and you're starting to worry, you do your deep breathing exercise. You'd use it as an opportunity to meditate and pray and think of somebody bigger than you who's more capable, somebody who designed and made this incredible world that we live in. So very important to be doing that. All right, what else have we got? All right, and then there are things that can help you that you need. I spoke earlier on about taking essential fatty acids. Essential fatty acids are natural plant fats. That's where we find them. But fried foods and heated fats, so if we cook that chicken or we cook that fish, the heated fats in that block the body's ability to use essential fatty acids. You actually can't use them. So we can use them in very small amounts. So it's very important that we get natural fats in us. Now, fish oil is not a good source of it because to get the oil out of the fish, they sell the fillets. They take the actual flesh and they sell that, okay? And then they take all the leftover, the skin and the bones and the internal organs, the liver and the lungs and the brain and the eyes. All of that gets mashed up together. This is not made up. I actually discovered this probably 30 years ago when people were trying to get me to endorse their fish oil. They said to me, Marianne, you'll drive a Rolls Royce in 2 years if you endorse this fish oil. You'll make so much money. I said, yeah, and I won't sleep at night. You tell me how they made the fish oil. And they'd say, oh, it's cold press. I said, how do you cold press fish? You can't just squeeze the fish. You know, everything comes out, the blood and the water and the guts and everything just comes out. So I found out then, I was actually given a textbook from an oil company on how they extract oils, and they mash all the fish, the leftovers. They may turn it into this big pulp. They heat it to high temperatures. They're using chemical solvents to extract the oils, and then they have to separate them from the water once they've separated it. And then they sell that to you as fish oil. But it also contains cholesterol because all the cells from the skin and the liver and the lungs, they all contain cholesterol. So you're getting in the oil from the fish that's heated, so it can prevent your body's ability to use essential fatty acids efficiently. You're not only not getting essential fatty acids the way, the form it should be in plants, you're getting the great-grandchild and the great-great-grandchild. There are 5 derivatives that we make from essential fatty acids. This is the essential fatty acids. We convert it to glucuronic steroidic acid, what we know as EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, and then EHA, and then DHA. So there's these different derivatives that we need for different functions in our body. All we're getting in fish oil is EPA and DHA. You're not getting these other 3. And your body can't produce it backwards, and these are heated, so they're useless to us. So some people find that it helps in certain things. I personally believe a lot of that is psychosomatic. A lot of people find it doesn't, and the fish oil just repeats on you, showing that it's rancid. Fish oil goes rancid or off or carcinogenic within 2 hours of the fish dying. If you get cold pressed oils that have been extracted from them and you take those, the best sources from flax oil, and the best that I found is a flax oil blend that contains sesame and sunflower and olive oil. I've seen it work the best with adrenal support, the best with autism, the best with inflammation in the body, the best with any hormonal disturbances. And that is a product that I use every single day. I've got it here to show you, and I'll send you the link if you need to know. But your game changer, which is the person that invited you here today, they will tell you where to get these things as well. They'll know where all of them, they'll get the information from me. So speak to the person that invited you. This is what I take every day. I take a Mega. It's a capsule. The capsule's made from water buffalo. You don't need to swallow it. You can just chew it and spit it out like my husband does. It's a capsule like that. And I take 6 like that every single day, which is maintenance. If you're suffering from adrenal fatigue, I recommend you take 6 3 times a day, half an hour before your meal. So half an hour before breakfast, lunch, and supper. And then I take that with my barley life, which is this green powder over here in this jar. You can get the capsule version if you don't like it. And it looks like that. And I know Mark made me some earlier on. It's in the shaker bottle over there. I haven't had mine this morning. I was busy getting ready and I wasn't feeling like it right then. So I take this with carrots and beetroot. You don't have to take the carrots and beets. They're very nutritious, but these are the 2 things that I recommend everybody takes for adrenal recovery. That's important, okay? Oh, my husband just brought me my barley life here. And I don't have a glass over there. There we go. I've got a glass here. You can see what that looks like. That's the beets and the barley in there. I didn't put the carrots in this morning. It looks like sludge. When you just do the green stuff, it looks like Shrek's juice. If you don't like the flavor of green things, you can get it in powder form. And in that powder form, it's exactly the same. It's in a veggie cap and you can swallow it. But the essential fatty acids, the barley life's important because the nutrients that are in sprouted grains and the leaves of sprouted grains, and this is juiced, it's extracted from the juice. They harvest at night so that there's no destruction of the antioxidants. They extract the juice in that harvesting machine and they chill it so that there's furthermore no antioxidants. There's no heat from the sun. It's instantly juiced and then it's transported to the factory where they spray dry it at room temperature, so there's no applied heat. Okay, the nutrients that are in sprouted grains, in particularly barley grass juice, because that's when it's most concentrated. Barley grass on its own is not good enough. You need the juice. It contains a vitamin E succinate that's a precursor to vitamin E. You only find it in sprouted grains. Okay, and you have to eat an enormous amount to get enough. Or you can just juice it and make your own. You can grow your own barley grass juice it yourself if you've got the right masticating juicer and if you've got the time and inclination to do it. This is just a convenient way to get it. Same with your flax oil. You can take your flax seeds, put it in a mechanical press, and you can press that oil out fresh every morning if you have the time and inclination. Those 2 things, the vitamin E succinate you get in your barley life, in this powder here, really helps the pituitary gland to work properly. And the pituitary gland is managing your adrenal glands. Your little glands that are sitting on top of your kidneys are managed by the pituitary gland, and they don't work properly unless you're getting some form of sprouted grains in your diet on a regular basis. So I take those 2. Those are probably the 2 things that help me recover the quickest, together with raw fruit and vegetables, and as much as possible. Now, you don't have to live on raw food, but I do know there are people with severe adrenal exhaustion that have recovered, and some of them I've helped, on a totally 100% raw food diet for a 3-month period. If it's so severe you can't even get out of bed, it's raw juices, it's smoothies, it's raw eating. And the reason for that is you need a lot of natural vitamin C for your adrenal glands to recover. Not vitamin C in supplement form. In supplement form, you're lucky if you can use 4 to 10%. And in fact, what we know is taking vitamin C in supplement form can actually cause a lot of the symptoms of adrenal exhaustion, like inflammation. They can cause gout, arthritis, kidney stones, stomach ulcers, and osteoporosis. Other problems as well. But we don't want to take in synthetic man-made vitamin C because it's the safest supplement to take, but it can cause gout, arthritis, kidney stones, stomach ulcers, and osteoporosis. You don't want that. If you're taking it, if you're eating your apple, you're eating your mangoes, you're eating, what have I got here? I've got a nectarine, it looks almost like a tomato. Things that are high in natural vitamin C, pineapples, strawberries, berries, any fruit contains vitamin C. Apples don't contain a lot, but they do contain, how do you know they don't contain a lot? Any fruit that you bite into, that goes brown quite quickly. Apples and bananas contain less vitamin C than others. But a pineapple you can cut open, a mango you can cut open, you can see that it doesn't go brown really easily. So the longer it takes for it to oxidize, the higher the vitamin C. Vitamin C is also the substance that can sometimes make your tongue very sensitive when you eat too much. When you eat too many slices of pineapple, for example, or too many strawberries, your tongue can become very sensitive. And that's just your body saying you've had enough vitamin C, stop. Your body has no way of telling you you've had too much vitamin C when you take it in a supplement until you develop that stomach ulcer or the osteoporosis many years later. So important that you get it from fresh fruits and vegetables. Tomatoes, red peppers, very high, but any raw fruit and vegetables. So the steps that I encourage you to follow to make sure that you're getting enough raw food in your diet, if you're not going 100% raw food, is one, either you can get onto the 30-day detox, which is a very high raw diet. It's very radical, and if you just like have to stop all the things you've been doing to your body, you can find you very flat and exhausted. You may have to stay on that for at least 30 to 90 days. That's one of the things you can do. Or you can just take the basic 5 steps and start adding raw food before your cooked food. So if you're having breakfast, have a mango before breakfast, or a banana, or an apple. If you're having lunch, have some tomatoes or carrots or a salad before lunch. Or you can have fruit, and the same for supper. Always eat at least a side plate, and I'll grab a side plate back. Nice black one over here. That is a side plate. It's like the size of your hand, you can see there. So you need a plate the size of your hand. Try and fill that with as much raw food as you can. At the very least, just cover a side plate, even if it's flat, if you're really battling with raw food. But if you love it, you can pile it high. It can be a plate this big. I mean, you could take a giant big plate. Let me get you a nice giant. Well, you can make a big salad like this. This is the kind of plate my husband likes to eat a salad on. He could just eat a whole plate of salad like that. And there's no limit on how much. Try not to have less than a side plate of fruit or veggies before you eat salad, breakfast, lunch, or supper. And then in between meals, if you're going to snack, then I recommend that before you go and eat something like a cookie or a biscuit or anything else, you have some raw fruit or vegetables. So if you're feeling like salty, savory food, you might want to eat things like celery or tomatoes with a bit of herb salt, a little bit of olive oil, or dip it in a bit of hummus, for example. And then you'll have that before you're eating anything else. So before, and the reason for that is loaded with vitamin C, loaded with antioxidants, all the things that are going to help your adrenal glands recover. And you can, and then that's the one thing. And then the next thing that you can do, so you're increasing the amount of raw fruit and vegetables in your diet at this point in time. The next thing you can do is you can keep your, you need to have at least one fruit meal a day. That's it. These 3 basic steps I'm going to give you. At least one fruit meal a day. One meal every day should consist entirely of fruit. Now you can take a bowl and you can fill that with some nice fruits and chop it all together, and I make a smoothie and pour over that like a custard, or you can just make a cashew custard, which is cashew nuts with a little bit of pro peas, which has got a bit of vanilla in it and pea protein, and I add that to I blend the pineapple, I make a fruit salad. I blend pineapple and cashew nuts together. You can put a bit of apple juice with that and a bit of pro peas. It's bright yellow and it's thick like custard, and it tastes too delicious for words. And honestly, it's like if you put a little bit of the pro peas in it, it's got natural vanilla in it, and it makes it taste delicious. So that's one of the things that you can do. And then you can just eat the fruit. You don't have to make a fruit salad. If you're in a hurry, you can take all the fruit that would have been in your fruit salad, put it in your blender and blend it all up together. I would add some pro peas to that because that's from the same company that makes the barley life. And those details we'll put up, and you'll get it from your Game Changer as well. So you're going to eat raw before cooked at the meal times, a side plate, remember. Let me get my side plate out there. A side plate, that size. I put my hands on there because it's the size of your hand. Put that on a plate, and that's the size. You're going to eat raw fruit or vegetables before every snack. If you're craving sweet things, go and eat sweet fruits like grapes or bananas or apples or mangoes. Mangoes are wonderful. These are organic mangoes. Just got them in yesterday, and they are very delicious. I'm probably going to have some of these after we're finished here. I would eat that. And what happens is when you eat the fruit before you eat the candy or the sweets or the cookies, you satisfy your body's need for glucose. You're giving it all the natural vitamin C it's needing for those adrenal glands, and you stop craving the junk stuff that's not going to help you at all. The cookie and the biscuit's not going to help your adrenal glands, okay? It's usually full of sugar. All right, and then you're going to have a bowl of fruit for one fruit meal a day, or you're going to put that equivalent and you're going to have a nice tall glass of smoothie. This is a tall glass here. I normally have a tall glass. If I'm not very hungry, I'll have a smaller glass. But you can have something like a smoothie, and you have, so it's one fruit meal a day, raw before cooked, and your snacks in between your meals should be raw fruit or vegetables. If you're doing that, you're also increasing the amount of raw fruit and vegetables which are alkaline forming into your body. And the more alkaline forming the food is that's coming into your body, if you get it to 70 to 80% alkaline forming foods, which those three steps I gave you, one fruit meal a day, raw before cooked, and your snacks in between are raw fruit and vegetables. If you do that every single day, you're going to have that 70 to 80% raw alkaline forming diet. And what happens when you've got that amount of raw fruit and vegetables coming into your diet, your body is able to convert fuel, which is food, into energy more efficiently. Up to 30% more energy. And people that have started the programs, and for example, the 100 Days to Health is a very slow version where you're just adding good food to existing diet. When you're doing that, you will find that, like so many people, the very first symptom they start to feel, sometimes within that first week, is that they've got more energy. I've got more energy. I feel like living. I feel alive. And that's what happens because your body's naturally making more energy at cellular level without you even doing anything. Then you add a little bit of gentle exercise starting off slowly. That also increases your energy level. But no competitive exercise while you're recovering from adrenal fatigue, okay? The other things that'll stress you out, just as reminded me as well, is unforgiveness and anger. If you're angry and you've got people you haven't forgiven in your life, you need to forgive them and you need to deal with that anger. The anger, I deal with anger in talking to God. I don't know what to do with this anger. God, help me. What am I doing? What am I saying wrong? And then he puts a torch in my heart, and I'm like, okay, I'm at fault here. I need to apologize, or I need to just let this go. Sometimes I get angry. Like the other day, I got really super angry because somebody emailed me and said these guys were spraying in her street, and she stopped and asked them what they were spraying, and it was this really poisonous weed killer, a glyphosate, and it was it's known to be an endocrine disruptor. It's known to be carcinogenic. And she was telling me this, and I'm like, I'll get onto our city councillor. And I got onto him, and he just said, it's legal in South Africa. And I'm like, so it's okay? Like, it's legal to smoke here as well, but it's very bad for you. You know, where are we going to draw this line? This is really toxic, and it can have an accumulative effect on the body. And so we had this kind of backwards and forwards thing going on WhatsApp. I mean, the fact that I could talk to the counsellor was amazing. It's the first time I've been able to talk to somebody in WhatsApp or contact him, which I said to him, I'm very grateful for the difference you're making to our community. Our beaches are looking a lot better, but at the end of the day, having a beach looking good aesthetically is not going to save anybody's life. Maybe make us happier, but not going to save anybody's life. So I got so mad talking to him that he wouldn't get him. I sent him the research, and he says, you have to drink a pint of that. And this guy's young. He doesn't even know what a pint is. They don't use pints anymore. Nobody even talks about it. I'm 65, and I was in leaving school. I was in the last high school intake that did the Imperial. We changed over from Imperial, which I'd done in junior school, and in high school we went to metric. So anybody younger than me doesn't even know what a pint is or a pound, unless they come from another country, and this guy is local. He just literally, I sent him the research. He says, oh, it's legal, and you have to drink a whole pint of it for it to make you sick. And I said, you're not reading the research, which shows that it has an accumulative effect. So I got angry about something like that. But I've learned to have it, it's justified anger, it's short term, it motivates me, I can feel myself pumping adrenaline, I go onto the internet, I get all the research, I look at my notes, I send them, and I have my say, and end of the story. And then I can just go for a walk and I'm calm. So I've learned to manage that adrenaline. But you need to, and I've learned to manage the anger as well. You can't just be angry all the time. You're going to suffer from adrenal exhaustion, even if you are exercising and your diet's like healthy. So unforgiveness, anger, frustration, these are things we have to deal with. And I can tell you that probably we've seen people miraculously turn around on a totally raw food diet. Literally in 6 weeks they're improved, in 3 months they're driving their car. But I can tell you right now, for you to get fully well, completely well in every area, takes most people a year. And I don't want to make you feel frustrated and think, oh, I don't have a year to get well. I can tell you that as you start to follow the programs and you start to actually do what I'm telling you to do, and you're having the raw before cooked, you start to find you have more energy, and you're sleeping better, and you're just getting better. And then you'll have what we call as a healing crisis. You might have flu-like symptoms, and you might feel like you're going backwards, and then you'll improve and improve and improve, and then you have another healing crisis, but it's smaller than this one. And this whole period of getting well can take, if you're very diligent and you follow a very good program, it will take you a good year to sort out all the areas that you've got problems in. Okay, if you're dabbling and you're doing part of it and not all of it, it's probably going to take you 2 to 8 years to recover. That's what I've seen. I've been helping people for, close on 40 years now that I've been helping people with their diets and with their nutrition and helping people with these conditions. And it's frustrating for people because they say, I'm doing this so well. Why am I not feeling better yet? One is you need to reduce the things that are causing problems, like the caffeine, the sugar, the alcohol, the cigarettes, the medication. That needs to be reducing while you're improving your diet. And then you get this crossover point where you really just start to solve. Now, what I have got for you today is everybody who's come here today will get a free copy. If you don't have it already, because we've got people that are on our programs and we've got our game changers, a free copy of our book, Perfect Health. This one here. You won't get this in the post, you'll get the PDF. I can't post it to you, but I can email it to you. So to make sure that you're emailed, you need to send us your email details. Your email details you need to sell to offer@wholeworldwell.com. Mark, I know, we'll add this to the notes. You can get it there. So it's offer@wholeworldwell.com. You get a free copy of the book. You can just read the book, apply the principles, and get well.
Marianne?
Yes? Master of thing. I'm saying the wrong thing. You said offer@wholeworldwell.
Yeah, so you know. It's mariannesmp@gmail.com. I put it in the chat.
Oh, okay. Our wrong address. He changed the address. It's Marianne. What is it? Even I can't remember. He's put it into the chat. Have a look at the chat. It's I'm not going to tell you. He's got his headphones on again. So it is, look at the chat. And if you don't know, get a hold of your game changer. The game changers always know everything. They'll know where to get stuff, how do you get your barley, how do you get your omega, how do you get the free book, okay? Go to the game changer, the person that introduced you. mariannesmp@gmail.com. That's Mary with a hyphen. Is it, and there's no E, so you might make mistakes with this. Just look at the bottom, because people think my name's so simple to say, but people can spell it all kinds of magical ways. But at the end of the day, get a hold of your game changer or the person that invited you. If the person that invited you doesn't know, they'll ask the person that invited them, okay? So make sure that you get hold of somebody. To ask questions, if you haven't figured it out by now, if you want to ask questions today, you have to have subscribed to our YouTube channel. So make sure that you subscribed. It helps us cover our costs. It costs a lot for us to put these sessions up. We pay for programs, we pay for all kinds of things and staff, and we had our YouTube specialist in here early this morning setting us up and making sure we got everything right, and all of that costs money. If you subscribe, then YouTube will pay us for every person that's subscribed tiny amounts, tiny amounts, but it all adds up and it helps to cover the costs. Even if it's $100, it helps. What else is I wanting to tell you? Okay, so you're going to get a copy of the book. Okay, we've also got the 3 programs that you can follow. 3 amazing programs, okay, that we've developed over the last 30 odd years. And the very first one of those was the 100 Days to Health, which was to help people slowly make changes, because people would get overwhelmed with all this information. And they'd say, how do I do this slowly? And then I developed the 5 basic steps. I said, take one of those steps, apply them to your life. And then when you've mastered that, get to the next step. I gave you 3 of those steps this morning. So I'd say to them, take the 5 steps in the book and make sure that you're following them. And some people manage that, but some people really need support. And so with lockdown arriving a couple of years ago, what we did was we found out there was this amazing program called Zoom. So we started doing these weekly Zoom sessions, and we made the 100 Days to Health available for it. And then a lot of people said to me, I want something more dramatic. And I had this 30-day detox program, and I tweaked it and we put it up there. 30-day detox is for people who are bold and brave and want fast results, but it's usually for people who know how to eat, but they've just lost their way and they want to get back on track. I don't like people going from a traditional diet just straight onto the 30-day detox, although it will make you really well. If you stick to the 30-day detox for a 90-day to 100-day period, I can tell you now that you'd probably be out of the worst part of your adrenal fatigue, but it's tough. It's tough, but it's very doable, and it's entirely up to you. The 100 Days to Health is a very gradual program. It's fantastic for your family to go on, fantastic for you if you don't like fast changes, the idea of giving up sugar and alcohol and all of this stuff you like. And then what happens is you get to a point and you start weighing it up, and it's like, caffeine, adrenal fatigue. No caffeine, no adrenal fatigue. And then you start having this, you're measuring it all the time. What's it worth? And eventually get to a place where you say the taste in my mouth and the short little bit of pleasure that I get while I'm eating or drinking or smoking this thing is not worth the way I feel all the time of my life. The 100 Days to Health is slow and steady. It'll help you with that. But it doesn't help you with all the issues. Both those programs are only helping you with your diet. I developed a program for people to follow when they finish the 100 Days to Health. But it also includes the 100 days and the 30 days. You get all the programs, all our books, all our charts, and you look at 12 body systems and 12 pillars of health. And those 12 pillars of health is what you do need to work through. You're literally working through one a month for a year. And it's a year-long program. It's called 365. And you get to talk to me and ask questions every single week. On a Wednesday or a Thursday, depending which country you live in and the times that you are, there's different slots for different times. There's this slot available on a Thursday, and then the other slot is later on. Well, you can have a look at the times and see what you want, and your game changer will tell you. So it's either 4 weeks on the 30-day detox or 14 weeks on the 100 days, but the 365 is really what you need if you're suffering from adrenal fatigue, because it takes time and you need the support, not only from me, you need the support in the group, you need the support from your game changer. Your game changer is the person that, as I said, introduced you or told the person that introduced you, but find out who's my game changer. And if you don't know, you can pop it into the chat here and Mark will tell you what address to go to be able to find out more details about your game changer. The 100 days, you have me every single week for 365 days. You got the support for 365 days. Plus, you actually have it available for the rest of your life if you do 365. 100 days is just 100 days. 30 days is just 30 days. The 365, you get the support for the rest of your life, as long as you live. I'm planning to live to 120, and I'm training many people who are doing our natural health and nutrition programs to take over from me. 2078 is when I'm planning. God willing, that's when I'd like to go, and I want to make sure that I have my brains, bowels, and bladder are still functioning optimally. That's my goal with all this healthy eating. To prove a point that the human body is designed to live well for a long time. And I know there are the longest living communities. People do live to those ages and they're still fully functional. Check out the Blue Zones on TED Talks. Blue Zones, TED Talks, the 19-minute talk with a guy called Bob. Not Bob, Dan. It's Dan. That's Dan the man is doing the talk on TED Talks on the Blue Zones. Check out those people and how long and how healthy they look. At the end of the day, the 365 is the program where you know if you stick to this program and you've got the support you need, right to the end, you will be completely well. If you follow what the program tells you to do, because we deal with everything. We deal with, we deal with food and exercise and mental health, emotional health, spiritual health. I don't dictate what you should believe. I give you the tools for you to manage that process. I give you the tools to manage social stress. We get into a lot of stress socially with friends and family and entertaining, and we juggling too many balls socially, and it crashes. I give you the tools to cope with the emotional stress, with the financial stress. Finances, huge stress with finances. I give you the tools to cope with financial stress. So in every area of your life, I give you the tools to cope with it. And then what you're doing is creating an environment in which complete healing can take place. Not just from your diet, which you'll get in the 100 days and the 30 days, but in every area, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, every single area. And so I want to encourage you to, if you can, do the 365. Now, if I had to separate the 365 and what you get for it, it probably cost you close to $10,000. I kid you not. My time is very valuable. If people want to consult with me privately, I actually is worth $15,000 or $20,000, which is what I feel I should charge. But if you're consulting privately, I actually charge $5,000. It's also over a year period. It's slightly different. You get a full health assessment. So the 365, you're still getting me. You're just not getting me personally. We're in a group. We're in a group, and I find the group dynamic works. I prefer to not do personal consultations. I prefer to do it in a group like this because you have that incredible group support. You're all in a social media group with your game changer during the week days, and then once a week you're coming to me. I'm in touch and I train and work with all the game changers, but you have the opportunity to ask me the question live on Zoom in a session during the week. And that support is invaluable. So yes, if I had to charge for that, gosh, for that time when I actually added and worked it all up, I think it came close to about $11,000. But we charge $1,497. Now you can put that on your credit card, and that way you can pay with your credit card if you feel. But if you add up what you've spent on the last period of the last couple of years or the last couple of months, however long you've suffered from adrenal fatigue, or what you've been spending on your health if you don't suffer from adrenal fatigue over the last, let's just say 5 years, the average person, if we take it at $500 a month, that is $6,000 a year. This is US, not Zimbabwean dollars. And over a 5-year period, that's $30,000. So just in a year, in 1 year, you would have spent $6,000 just trying to manage your health on supplements, over-the-counter medication, going to see this person, going to see that person. You've got to get to a place where you understand your body, and I teach you those 12 body systems so that you do understand your body. You know how incredibly resilient your liver is, for example, and how it can actually regrow if parts of it are removed, and how it can recover from incredible damage, how your adrenal glands work, all of the stuff you learn so that you know how to manage your body, because you live in the body. We take our bodies, we hand over the management to other people, and we go from this person to that person to that person, spending a lot of money and a lot of time taking this supplement, doing this stuff, doing all this stuff, taking all this stuff, and very few people find relief and results. And they don't find it because they're trying to buy their health. And you can't buy it, you've got to live it. So you need the tools and you need the support as you learn to live a healthy lifestyle. And it's not an obsessive, fanatical way. You'll see in the group people will say, oh my word, I was on a holiday and it was so difficult. We were living with people and all they did all day was criticize me over the way of eating. And I said to you, here's the quickest way to deal with people that are picking on you. If you decide you don't want to eat their cake and candy and you'd rather just not, we can't get judgmental towards people because we were all there ourselves. I was there. I was the biggest candy eater in the world. I would drink sweetened condensed milk straight out of the can, and if I could drink 2 in a day, I would have done it. And I did on occasions. Here's the issue. We can't judge them, but what we can say to them is this: I would love to eat the way that you eat, but I can't because it affects my health. So I'm eating like this for my health reasons. It had nothing to do with my weight, because people say, oh, you're not fat. You don't need to go on a diet. You say, I'm not on a diet. I'm on a healthy lifestyle. I'm learning a lot about my body, my mind. I'm learning about all the organs in my body, and I'm learning a lot, and I'm managing my health. And that's what I want to do. You must want to manage your health. And it doesn't take a lot of time and effort. It takes a lot of time sitting in waiting rooms, waiting for people. Your appointment, I remember, would be at 3, and I'd lucky if I got in by 4:30, sitting there with a child that was coughing and mewling and puking. Nothing makes me nervous anymore. When we had, the great big lockdown and the virus and everything that went with it, I wasn't nervous of it at all. People phoning, what are you going to do? How do you do? And I'd say, well, my immune system's working properly. I can handle it. I went out of my way to get it. I couldn't get it from anybody that actually had it. Mark got it from a friend of his who'd been vaccinated, and then he passed it on to me. But we were over it in 3 days, and we've got immunity for life. We went and had our blood tested at a proper laboratory, and it showed we had the antibodies, and they said, this is cool. You've got very high antibody levels. And it showed up super quick. They said they'd never seen it show up that quick. It normally takes about 5 minutes to show up, and it took like 30 seconds. It showed on the little chart. So at the end of the day, when your body's in good condition, it can repair itself, it can defend itself, it can look after. It's your responsibility to get your body to a place where it can repair itself. And then the sky's the limit. We're going to walk the Camino just to prove that when we're in our mid to late 60s, we can do these things because we've got the energy, we've got the health. And everybody should feel like this. I came from terrible health problems. Mark came from terrible health problems. They told us it was genetic. There was nothing you can do about it. Bipolar disorder is genetic in your family. Allergies and hay fever, genetic. Sinusitis, genetic. Lung problems, genetic. Allergies, genetic. With Mark, his blood pressure, blood sugar, all genetic. Weight problems, genetic. We don't have any of those problems anymore, simply because we've created the right environment and we understand how our bodies work. And you know what? What comes with knowledge is confidence, and the fear goes. You no longer walk in fear anymore about the next thing that's going to come and jump on you, whether it's a fungus or a virus or a bacteria. You don't have that fear anymore because you know what you know, that your body repaired itself and it can do it again, and it's going to keep you in good stead. I'm here to help you. I really am. Our team of game changers are there to help you. My husband Mark is sitting answering you right now. He's here to help. Our whole team is here to help you. You can just get the book and get on with it and do it yourself, or you can get on one of the programs, speak to the game changers, or go to wholeworldwell.com and you can sign up to the programs over there. Choose your program and get on board. I would love you to join me on the 365 because it's such a wonderful journey. It's so worth it that every part of your body and every area of your life becomes healthy. And on that, you also have access to the 100 days and the 30-day detox for the rest of your life. And of course, if you introduce 3 other people to the 365 and they sign onto the program, you basically get all your money back. And you can keep telling other people and earning an income from it, even once you've got your money paid back. So you could end up getting it for free. So if you're on today and you invited 3 friends and they sign up, you basically end up getting it for free because we have a very generous loyalty rewards program. And we're doing this specifically because we want all of you to help us get the whole world well. That is our mission, to get everybody in the world well so that they can all take responsibility, so we can live in a world where people are not doing crazy things, where people are behaving kindly and respectfully towards each other, where people are working efficiently and doing the best that they can because they've got the energy to do it. If you follow the principles that I've basically laid out today, I can guarantee that you're going to start seeing an improvement within the next 2 weeks to 2 months. It depends. What all of this depends on is how much medication you're on, how badly you were treating the adrenal glands, how much caffeine, alcohol, refined sugar, and how frequently that was. If it's an everyday frequency, you're probably going to struggle more than somebody who's emotionally exhausted, is being in chronic stress. Although if you don't rest, that's one of the things that's really important, is that you take 1 day every single week. It's the one thing I forgot to mention. 1 day every week and you veg out completely. You do not work. You don't even have to make your bed on that day if you don't want to. I can't get over that one. I need to make my bed. I'll air it longer, but I still make it. I don't like walking into my bedroom anymore with my bed unmade. And it's so quick, it's a fitted sheet and a top sheet and a duvet, and it's made. It's not like in the old days. I remember when I was growing up as a kid, you had the sheets and the blanket. We didn't have fitted sheets. We had to make square corners of our sheets, and then we had blankets, and then over that we had a bedspread. With boarding school, they called a counterpane. Why on earth they called it a counterpane? But bedspread made sense. It's so easy these days. But we veg out completely 1 day a week, and we do it on a Saturday. And part of the reason we do it on a Saturday is If you think of it, people around the world have said, thank God it's Friday, TGIF. Everybody's exhausted on Fridays, okay? They're just like, I want to crash and burn. Everybody likes to sleep in on a Saturday morning. But now a lot of people are working on Saturday mornings, but we made a decision, we will rest. And then the other thing that really nailed it for us on the Saturday is studying. I found several studies that were done that showed that animals and plants, their metabolism slows down in their state of rest on a Saturday. And that's in animals and plants. And I figured God was very smart when he said, keep the Sabbath on a Saturday. And that's what we've been doing. And I can tell you, I don't get that feeling like, oh my word, I need a holiday all the time, which we used to all the time. You're living like, I need a holiday. I need a holiday. I just need a holiday and I'll be all right. If you take one day a week, you can do it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you do it when you want to. But I found, because we used to do it traditionally on a Sunday like everybody else did, but we didn't totally veg out. We still kind of worked. But then we started resting on the Sunday completely. And then we thought, let's try the Saturday thing because the science is showing we're more likely to recover quickly. And I can tell you the recovery from that is way faster and we feel so much more refreshed doing it on a Saturday. We literally get out of bed when we feel like it. We read in bed. We get up, we'll lie next to the pool and get a bit of sun. We'll sit in the garden. We'll lie on the couch on the veranda. We'll lie on the couch we might even watch a series. Just veg out completely. I need to switch my brain off because I've got a very active brain. And so for me to switch my brain off, I've got to be focused on something like something in the garden, although my brain's always going like that. Or I'll watch a really, really good, interesting series, for example, or some documentary. Right now we're watching lots of things with people doing the walking the Caminos, lots of people. And we filmed our introduction to walking the Camino and how we're going to do it and why we're doing it, which is on our YouTube channel as well. Anyway, so that's the final thing that I did leave out. Is it very important to have a complete, not an hour of rest, a complete day from morning, you need 24 hours, from one morning to the next morning. So don't start thinking, well, I'll go to 8 o'clock and I'll start working in the evening and start working in the evening. No, the whole day. Veg out, but make sure that you at least get natural light. Even if you're not doing any exercise, get natural light, so spend some of that time outdoors. Get some sun all over your body. The sun shining on your body, not peak midday, helps to convert cholesterol into vitamin D, and cholesterol makes strong, healthy bones. So you're going to benefit from that. Cholesterol is also needed by the body. It's needed by the adrenal glands, and sunlight and those natural fats all help the cholesterol your liver makes to get to your adrenal glands to make all these hormones that will help you breathe deeply, be focused, have energy, be calm, have a digestive tract that works properly. In fact, you're living in a place, the sweet spot, which is where perfect health is. You'll be happy, healthy, and at peace. With that, I'm going to say God bless you all, stay well, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Wherever you come from, wherever you are, getting healthy is probably one of the most meaningful, purposeful things you can do because it'll help you in every other area of your life. You can have all the money in the world and have no health, and you can die young. But you can be the healthiest person, and then you can at least take all the money in the world and put it to good use. In fact, I even told Elon Musk the other day on Twitter, because he had a picture of him with all these diet colas next to his bed. I said, Elon, lose them. Drink a natural sparkling juice like apple ties or grape ties or any other natural juice that you want to, or go back to traditional water. But we need you to live around for a long time because you have a very smart brain. So, and you're doing a lot of cleaning up of things around you. Make sure you get healthy. I get lost in Twitter, so I don't know whether he even responded to that. But hey, I'll keep telling him to get healthy. And if you all do it too, maybe. Look, we can all be just as smart as he is. I don't know how he does it on those colas. Imagine how brilliant he'd be if he was eating healthy all the time. But that's another thought altogether. God bless you, stay well, and I will see you around. Are there any questions that I need to answer, Mark, or have you answered all of them? Mark? This has got a delay on it, so I'm just waiting for him to respond. Mark? He's answering more stuff.
No, all good.
All good. All answered?
All good.
I don't need to answer anything. Okay, great. So I'm going to love you and leave you and put the mute back on. Let me just look for the mute button. I think I must do the mute. Alrighty.
Yeah, good. All good. No questions.
No questions. All right, all done. Okay. Goodbye. So long, farewell. I will see you next time. Bye bye.